Hela Governor Agiru passes on. Drunken brawl in Markham leads to ethnic clash. And India's president arrives in Papua New Guinea on historical visit.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Genia.
Good evening and welcome to Thursday's news. The first governor of the new Hela province, Agiru, passed away this morning while being rushed to the Pacific International Hospital in Port Moresby. PIH consultant Dr. Paul Mondia told EMTV the late governor was confirmed brain dead while being brought to the PIH emergency unit. Hundreds flocked to PIH this morning after hearing the death of Hela's respected son.
This was the scene at the Pacific International Hospital in Port Moresby's 3 Mile. Hela leaders, family members and relatives gathered outside the hospital after the Hela governor was pronounced dead. Many remained shocked after the sad news broke out through relatives and leaders. The late Hela governor was rushed to PIH between 7 and 9 a.m. this morning but was pronounced dead upon arrival. In an off-camera interview, PIH consultant Dr. Paul Mondia said the late Hela governor was brain dead after being brought through the emergency unit.
So we went there in ambulance and it was a bit faster. And the body was still warm. We tried at the resuscitating there, but we don't have enough facilities. So we took him in. The ambulance came to PH, the emergency room, and we worked on him for some time. But then he had brain death, so we stopped resuscitating him.
Doctors at PIH say the Hela governor was diabetic but will be carrying out further tests if approved by relatives.
He's got underlying diabetes, so we believe silent myocardial infarction may be the cause.
Meantime, in a statement, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill expressed his sympathy and condolences to the family of the late Hela leader and the people of Hela. O'Neill says the late Agiru was a steadfast leader despite trying times of his political career. The Hela leader was instrumental in the establishment of the multi-million PNG LNG project. The late Agiru served as the Southern Highlands governor before becoming the first governor of the new Hela province in 2012. Funeral arrangements are underway as the family and Hela provincial government prepare to put to rest what most describe as Hela's favorite son. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Governor of New Ireland Sir Julius Chan conveyed his sincere condolences to the family and people of Hela on the passing of Governor Agiru. Governor Chan said Agiru's death was shocking and his passing is an untimely loss to his family, people of Hela, the Highlands region and Papua New Guinea. Member for Koroba Kopiago, Philip Undialu, also shared his sorrow on behalf of his family and people of Koroba. The late Governor Agiru died at the age of 54. His body is at rest at the Port Moresby Funeral Home, waiting for burial arrangements. More than 13 people have been killed in a fight in Markham between two ethnic groups that started yesterday after a drunk Markham Valley Secondary School male student was assaulted at Mutsing Market. The fight escalated from yesterday when 3 were reportedly killed. Provincial Police Commander Chief Superintendent Augustine Wampe and Lay Mobile Squad are in Markham to contain the situation. Bethany Harriman with this report.
The clash between the Armory and Agiru people of the Markham district has gotten worse. Yesterday there were reports that 3 people may have been killed, and today there are also unconfirmed numbers that 10 people may have been killed, taking the number up to 13. Now the bodies are being kept at the Mutsing Health Center and they will be later taken to Engau. The Armory are from Umi Bridge and upwards to Waterrise Junction, and the Agiru are from Umi Bridge downwards to Leron. Some of the people are feared to be killed and still missing, while there are unconfirmed numbers in critical condition. The fight started yesterday when a drunken student of Markham Valley Secondary School from Armory tried to rob a night vendor selling Pepsi. The vendors beat him up, his relatives mobilized the next day and destroyed Mutsing Market chasing vendors. Both sides have mobilized and are fighting each other. We've received confirmation this afternoon that Provincial Police Commander Chief Superintendent Augustine Wampe is in the area with a mobile squad unit to contain the situation. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Leh.
Strategic Plan 2016 to 2020 is a coming of age for the Bank of Papua New Guinea. Governor Loy Bagani said at the launching of the plan that there are 3 key areas that will enhance the bank's performance. The central bank's first strategic plan was introduced in 2005. This is the third.
Speaking to reporters after the main launch event, Governor Bakani said apart from continuing to ensure better communication around monetary policy announcements, the strategic plan will guide the central bank to continue to enhance the national payment system, a system that aims at making banking easier and more affordable for Papua New Guineans.
Within the 3 years' time or 4 years' time, we want to get to a situation where when you put a check in today, it clears immediately. The money goes into the pays or the beneficiary's account immediately, number 2. And the second related to that is in terms of what they call a national switch. Now, a national switch is the one that allows banks to transfer or funds from one to the other, or as users, when you do mobile banking using your mobile phones, and that's the one that is at the moment is restricted. You can only do it with your bank account in one bank. When you have a switch, it allows you also to go in and do transactions from your account to another bank.
Within the 5-year life of the strategic plan, the bank plans to ensure a financial system supervisory committee is in place.
That supervisory committee will have a function of overseeing the whole of different regulators like the Insurance Commissioner, the Securities Commission, Stock Exchange, Promotion Stock Exchange. At the moment, we don't have one. We are the ones responsible for life insurance, superannuation funds, and banks and finance companies. But in this structure, we want to have a committee that oversees the whole of different regulators in the financial system, so that when we know when one particular sector makes a change, we know how it will affect the other different sectors in the financial system in Papua New Guinea.
Assistant Governor Dr. Kauzi said a better implementation plan is now incorporated into this strategic plan.
There will be implementation chart, and the project of the implementation will be monitored. So we are trying to improve in that aspect in contrast to the previous 2 strategic plans.
Staff and board members of the bank celebrated the launch of the new plan yesterday. Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Thursday's news. All over the country, the housing shortages continue to affect members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and those of the 2 other disciplinary services. Even after the ongoing media exposure, the problem still lingers amidst a chorus of promises by the administration and the ministers responsible. Scott Wide reviews MTV's coverage of housing shortage over the last 4 years.
The Kusbao Police Barracks in Medang is a classic example of neglect. In 1998, health inspectors in Medang condemned it, and since then it's remained that way. Families of police officers still live in the condemned barracks with no end in sight with a possible solution. Since 2012, MTV has revisited the barracks on numerous occasions, and the story has remained the same. And the frustrations by the wives of the police officers on many occasions have been directed at those who have come to highlight the concerns. The housing problems have never really been resolved, even with a lot of political and bureaucratic discussions. In 2015, the confronting realities of the lack of police housing came to the fore yet again, this time in the story of two constables, a public safety officer who had been living in his office and the other living on the Mamose, which was docked in Medang for repairs.
Mikam stop them no kada accommodation stop so mibla stop round go na all sambla all boy lo krubla sipe look me stop round the family when all talk okay you come stop one time mibla.
In Ley, another lingering problem, the unfinished police housing project at Bumbu Police Barracks, the subject of an investigation that the minister said would initiate. The investigation still has not yet begun. The police commissioner has indicated contractors have been contacted and work would begin soon. In the same barracks, the regional training center, unoccupied and unfinished. In 2010, the provincial police commander for Medang, Anthony Wagambi, called for more housing for police in Medang after their numbers were slashed from 200 to 96 for the whole of the province. Wagambi was then replaced by Sylvester Kalaut, who also faced the same problems and called for the same. Now both commanders have since been posted to different locations. Wagambi is now Metsup of Ley, and there's a new provincial police commander in Medang. He's also facing the same problems unresolved since 2010. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Ley.
The President of the Republic of India, Pranab Mukherjee, arrived in Port Moresby today. He is in Papua New Guinea on a two-day official visit, the first for any Indian president. Upon arrival, President Mukherjee was received by Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion. Deli Waigeno with this report.
His Excellency President Pranab Mukherjee and his 70-some member delegation arrived at the Jackson's International Airport at 11:30 to a rousing welcome on Air India.
As the special aircraft Boeing 747 taxied down the tarmac, a number of curious members of the public gathered to see the President of India disembark. A 21-gun salute was fired by the Papua New Guinea Defense Force as President Mukherjee stepped out of the plane. He was first met by Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion and senior members of government, including Housing Minister Paul Ezekiel, Health Minister Michael Malabag, National Events Minister Justin Tachenko, and West New Britain Governor Sasindran Mutuvel. Just after midday, President Mukherjee arrived at the Government House, signed the visitor's book, and met with Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogio. In the closed-door meeting, Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogio described the visit as both historic and symbolic of the close bilateral relations shared between PNG and India. According to a statement by Government House, the President empathized with PNG's desire for economic development, saying that building capacity was important for PNG. He said India had skilled, competent people in science and technology who were ready to assist PNG develop the appropriate technology to assist capacity development. President Mukherjee said both countries can learn from each other's experiences to advance their respective development aspirations. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
The President was able to squeeze in a visit to the Bomana War Memorial this afternoon to pay respect to the thousands of war heroes who fought to save the country.
As is customary of Commonwealth countries, and India being the largest Commonwealth country, also having soldiers die in World War II, the President of India took time out of his busy schedule to pay his respects and to lay a wreath at the Bomana War Memorial Cemetery. Michelle Bird, National MTV News.
Following his arrival in the country, President Pranab Mukherjee spoke exclusively to EMTV about the growing bilateral relations and the development aspirations between Papua New Guinea and the Republic of India. Leanne Jarari with more.
The relationship that was forged between both countries during Prime Minister Peter O'Neill's visit to the recent Forum of India-Pacific Island Cooperation Summit in Delhi and Jaipur in India is strengthened and continues through the Indian President's visit to the country. When asked about India's investment and development aspirations in Papua New Guinea, His Excellency Mr. Mukherjee stated that India is ready to provide assistance in the sectors of agriculture, education and skills development.
Because of its size, population, natural resources, and I must say, well-established democratic governmental structure which is functioning since it achieved its independence in 1976. So naturally that we would like to intensify our multidimensional cooperation with Papua New Guinea.
The chief purpose of the multidimensional relationship between India and Papua New Guinea and India and the rest of the Pacific is to build the capacity of the people. As a member of the BRIC economies, BRIC being Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, touted to be the emerging superpower countries, this bilateral relationship with the Republic of India is beneficial for Papua New Guinea. Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3175 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.3100 $0.4050 Australian dollars, $0.2706 euro and 34.31 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed higher, while coffee, cocoa and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copper also closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 51 points higher, the ASX closed at 34 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 35 points higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Gulf Governor Hela Governor has sounded a strong appeal to the developer of the Gulf Elk Antelope, Total SA, to produce a development plan for the project and the province. He warned that unless the plan is produced, the company should refrain from carrying out any activities, including social mapping in the project communities. The landowners supported the governor's call, saying they have been left in the dark.
PNG's second liquefied natural gas project, the Elk Antelope, in the Gulf province, has again come under question from the landowners and the provincial government. Gulf Governor Hela Governor and landowner representatives vented their dissatisfaction, what they claim is deliberate moves to sideline them in decision-making. Governor Governor says Total needs to provide a development plan and cost analysis of building the processing plant in Gulf instead of piping it to Central Province.
And I am now today calling on the developer to tell us on full paid media on a major development plan that they already have in the development of the so-called Papua LNG project. It's a name that national government and the developer has come up with. People of Gulf province still call it Gulf LNG project.
The group demanded that the processing plant must be built in Gulf province. They say if the government wants to pipe the oil and gas out of the province, the LOs and the provincial government must have 50% ownership of the project and complete ownership of the pipeline.
And yet the developer sees so fit that like go around, do a social mapping without our knowledge, and to the extent without actually responding back to us on the results of our position paper. It has to be extracted and processed within the province. Need to more or less conduct some awareness, thorough awareness.
Last September, the landowners presented a position paper to the government but have yet to receive a formal response. At this stage, they claimed not knowing any plans for the project. Governor Cavo demanded that a team currently carrying out social mapping in the project area must stop their work immediately. He says the provincial government has been bypassed and they will not tolerate this.
My government, the provincial government, and my landowners, the local level government stand strong. Despite of whatever happens, we will not allow pipeline to leave the shores of Gao province until government and a developer comes up with the best approach.
But Total said since they got the PRL license, they have a good working relationship with its joint venture partners, the provincial government and the local communities. Quinten Alom, National EMTV News.
The deteriorating part of the Madang-Ramu highway is now a concern to leaders of Madang. Despite millions being spent by the Works Department and national government, the road keeps falling apart, leaving cracks on the surface. Usino Bundi MP Anton Yagama says an alternate route should be used to allow proper maintenance of this part of the highway.
The declining status of national roads has left the government spending over 70 million kina for maintenance since last year. This part of the Madang Usino Ramu highway collapsed recently, causing great concerns for leaders and locals. Almost half of the road is in worsening conditions and posing danger to road users. Despite the road being damaged, normal traffic has been allowed to pass through. Usino Bundi MP Anton Yagama says an alternate route should be funded and used. Yagama says this will allow proper maintenance by works and other contractors.
Part of that road maintenance money must be diverted to do the Usino Yal Road. The Usino Yal Road is flat area. The governor and myself have spent money on that road.
MP Yagama believes the Usino Yal Road is the best option for the government to consider. The local MP visited the bad section of the road recently.
I want to bring to the attention of the Works Department that this is a national highway. It is not depicting the status of a national highway. It is worse than a feeder road, let alone a bush track in the village.
Locals believe the huge slurry pipe for the Ramuniko project may be a contributing factor causing vibration and collapsing of the road and nearby vegetation.
Vibration come up now. This level affection no road come up now. This level pipe that's all
Jack Lapava Jr. National EMTV News.
Member for Sinasina Yongmul Open, Kiranga Kua has joined the People's National Party. Kua, former member of the National Alliance, was the Attorney General in the current coalition before he was replaced. Recently, he has been very vocal about the government's initiatives. His move to PNP has now rendered him the party leadership. Today, he spoke of the party's goal to boosting economic growth through free trade.
Kua stressed that for the country to truly progress in economic growth as opposed to current trends, the government must first focus on promoting free enterprise through the free trade agreement.
A free, willing and dealing enterprise. We got to maximize on the concepts of free trade in goods and services. We got to remove as many as possible of the trade impediments, things that impede, delay and stifle progress.
He further argued that this would create a stronger platform for tax collection in order for the country to make any substantial contributions towards economic growth.
Those processes themselves, but in doing so, they contribute to creating a very solid economic platform. And the government, at the end of the day, has a solid platform upon which to levy taxes. Then it can be able to roll out all the development agendas you talk about. You can do it.
Kua, reputed for his role in breaking down the coffee and transport monopolies, made it his responsibility to see this through with the confidence of his fellow party members. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
The APEC Business Advisory Council says it will push for APEC to prioritize structural reform in order to maintain consistency in economic growth. The council believes this to be a very fragile time for the global economy, hence expanding trade and investment and undertaking structural reform was the key. This will be the main message the Business Advisory Council will convey to the APEC Minister of Trade in next month's meeting in Peru.
Structural reform promotes good governance. That leads to sound policy and regulation, which enhance the flow of trade and investment, spurs new sources of growth, such as service sector, raises productivity and promotes innovation.
The council, he said, were looking to address behind-the-border barriers through regulatory reform in order to provide a stable platform for progress in lowering barriers for trade. The free trade agreement in this light was seen to be an essential medium in achieving necessary reforms on both sides of the border.
High-quality, comprehensive, and ambitious free trade agreement of the Asia-Pacific. This is called FTAP, as an effective vehicle for achieving reforms on both sides of the border. So we will be asking the ministers to pick up the pace around the partners towards FTAP.
They will also call on APEC to increase its efforts in promoting access to global markets, new technology, and finance for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Melissa Gaviro, EMTV World News.
Trukai Sports is next with news on the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. Stay with us for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The men's national football team will begin preparations for international friendlies to be played in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea next week. National coach Fleming Sertslev said apart from the majority of the squad being from both Ley City Dwellers and Hekari United, there may be new inclusions. Jeremy Mogi reports.
Such an achievement would comfortably be a new high watermark for Papua New Guinea and crown what is already a historic year. Hailing from Denmark, Seritslev is embarking on his maiden World Cup campaign as a head coach, just a year shy of his 70th birthday. He arrived late last year in Papua New Guinea and quickly determined that the Melanesian nation contains many rough-hewn diamonds amid its plain population.
For me, I actually think we will have a very balanced squad. If you are thinking of, on one hand, younger players and on the other hand, some experienced players, I'm sure we will have a balanced squad.
Almost the entire national team players took part in the OFC Champions League, featuring for the perennial champions Hekari United or new challengers Ley City Dwellers. That many players are spread across just two clubs is a blessing for Seritslev.
We were challenged on highest level in the region, so it has really been a good experience for the players and also for me. Comparing our national team players to the national team players from the other teams in the region, I'm very confident that we can make good results when it comes to the Nations Cup.
Seritslev will take his PNG side on a rare trip outside Oceania when they head to the Republic of Korea for a 2-week camp. Papua New Guinea have a modest track record at continental level, but their experienced Danish mentor believes there is cause for optimism.
To compete on higher level, it takes much more matches than we are playing here at the moment. But let's see, it's my feeling that Papua New Guinea is developing step by step.
His assistant coach and former PNG striker Reginald Davani also has faith in the cause in a sign that is slowly beginning to find its feet on the international stage.
It's this generation of players that we have. When the National League started, they were all in the early 20s. They were all young players coming through that time, international games, playing OFC club level. They're hitting their peak now. I think it's a very good group that we have now.
The Nations Cup, the Continental Championship, doubles as a 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifying stage, where 6 of the 8 teams will advance to the next level. Prize on offer, and one more difficult to attain, is the title of Continental Champions. with a ticket to the FIFA Confederations Cup Russia 2017 and a rich reward on offer. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
199 days away from the kickoff of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in November, and concerns are mounting over the country's readiness in hosting the 8th edition of the international tournament as organisers focus on bringing venues and training facilities up to FIFA standard requirements. Confidence in PNG's ability to deliver the 2016 FIFA Women's Under-20 World Cup is being questioned amid growing concerns over the readiness of competition venues and associated infrastructure. With limited time on their hands, the local organising committee must now work harder to ensure that all 4 competition venues and training sites comply with FIFA requirements. The 4 competition venues, Bava Park, National Football Stadium, Sir John Guy Stadium and the PNG Football Stadium. To date, the lack of physical evidence on the ground is proving worrisome, with FIFA regulations yet to be met. Under FIFA requirements, all fields of play for FIFA-sanctioned tournaments must be 105 by 68 metres with a total surface of 125 by 85 metres unless otherwise approved by FIFA. Training fields should be within the range of 100 to 110 metres in length and 64 to 68 metres in width. Other infrastructure and equipment regulations also apply. The Sports Ministry and PNG Sports Foundation, however, have assured that they are working to ensure that all venues are delivered and tested in time.
For the infrastructure development, most have already started, but a lot of it is in-house. For example, the National Football Stadium, our Rugby League Stadium, that will be used. And that's got all the criterias that FIFA needs. So that's one tick in the box. Not like the Pacific Games, most of our infrastructure have already been certified. Yes, they are perfect for international soccer or football games. So it's only minor changes and minor differences and minor improvements that need to be made on these facilities to make them compliant to how they want. You'll see a big change over the next 3 or 4 months, and especially a month out before the FIFA World Cup, when they start to fit out and roll out all the fit outs for the different stadiums to promote the game and to ensure that everything that they require is in place. So I'm comfortable so far that we're moving forward in the right direction.
About 560 players and officials will be present. The 2016 FIFA Women's Under-20 World Cup is earmarked to be the biggest sporting event to be broadcasted from Papua New Guinea to 100 countries worldwide, with an estimated 200 million viewers following the Games. Following last night's meeting with Capital Rugby Union officials and affiliated clubs, an agreement has been passed to stage the final 3 weekends of rugby at the Sir John Guy Stadium. This is the first time CRU matches will be facilitated at the stadium since its reconstruction in 2015. Defence Rugby has also assumed its position in first place, with Harlequins, University and Wanderers following behind. The passing of former Pukpuk and Harlequins prop Carl Hoot has sent shock waves throughout the entire rugby union fraternity in the country. Considered as one of PNG's greatest tight head props, Hoot remained an advocate for rugby development in the country and, up until his passing, maintained a high level of respect within the rugby community. National Coaching Director of the PNG Rugby Football Union, Sydney Wesley, spoke of his experience working alongside Hoot and the legacy he leaves behind for the future of rugby in the country.
Contribution to the national team has been enormous. As a representative from the former Poma Review and then on to the Super Force and at the national level as well. And from the sentiments that maybe you can read, especially on social media, of how a lot of people, probably not just players and those who are involved with the game, but people who know him, he's just a great guy, and I think his passing away is a massive loss.
Trukai Sports continues after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. West New Britain Governor Sir Sindran Muthaville has once again given assurance that the West New Britain provincial government is doing everything it can to fast-track the construction phase of facilities for the BSB PNG Games 2016, which will be held this November in Kimbe. Currently, foundation work has begun on the different facilities with Kimbe and Hoskins, both satellite visions.
Earlier this month, Governor Muthaville highlighted the issue on the delay of funds from the national government as their biggest concern and threat to the staging of PNG Games. While the governor had initially promised 10 million kina towards the upgrading of Kimbe's infrastructures, only a portion has been released.
But now dry weather started, so it's a good time for us to speed it up. And that's where now I'm thankful for the Sports Minister and the PNG Sports Foundation to come up with that the first release, because I do understand the magnitude of cash flow issues, in the country, and yet they released that first 4 million, and I'm thankful to them.
Since the release of funds for the venues, Muthaville says the host organizing committee will now be able to move forward with other preparations.
This is a historic event, and this event is more important for us than even our South Pacific Games, because this is our feeder game which gives our athletes our players to South Pacific Games. And this is 100% PNG grassroots games. This is for.
In the months leading up to the staging of the national sporting event, several fundraisers will be held to assist the host organizing committee garner more support from corporate houses to ensure the demands for the on-ground operations are met. Dinero Strako, National EMTV Sports.
The United States Under-20 women's national football team has featured in all 7 previous FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cups, winning the tournament 3 times. The Tri-Nation Series next month will see them arriving on our shores to take on our women's Under-20 national side, along with Japan, who is no stranger on the world stage.
The Stars and Stripes edge out North American rivals and tournament host Canada to claim the inaugural Under-20 Women's World Cup. Following a 3rd place finish and 4th place effort at Thailand 2004 and Russia 2006 respectively, Sydney Lorex led the Americans to their 2nd title in Chile in 2008. USA were then beaten by Nigeria on penalties to crush out Germany 2010 in the quarterfinals, but rebounded 2 years later at Japan 2012 when they saw off Germany in a tightly contested final in Tokyo. Last time out, in Canada in 2014, the Americans had a rough go, finishing 2nd in their group to eventual champions Germany and tumbling out on penalties at the first hurdle of the knockout rounds. The Americans won the 5th and 4th consecutive Confederation of North, Central America and Caribbean Association football title in Honduras in late 2015, putting on a dominant display. They scored 14 goals and conceded just twice in their group before hammering the hosts 7-0 and edging Canada in a tense final. Eager to get their dominance back on track on the world stage, USA coach Michel French is looking at Papua New Guinea 2016 as a place to make a mark. Unlike USA, Japan women's national under-20 football team has made 4 appearances in the World Cup and making the quarterfinal twice in their highest achievement, finishing 3rd place in 2012. Next month's Tri-Nation Series will be held at the Sejonggai Stadium on 24th, 27th and 30th of May and will coincide with the Oceania Football Confederation OFC Nations Cup. PNG will play Japan on Tuesday, 24th May, with Japan taking on USA on the 27th, and PNG will then play against USA on the 30th of May. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The Central Boxing trials ended today with boxers fighting for a spot in Team Central. The trials were held at Sportsin that attracted many people turning up to support their boxers.
Boxers from Hiri, Kairoku, Mekio and Abao battled it out to secure a spot in the team. Coordinator Andrew MacGyver says the boxing code in the Central Province has increased over the years.
It's very good, that as I can see.
And the performance of the boxers awesome.
And he is confident selected boxers will put up a good fight at the upcoming PNG Games in Kimbe, West New Britain.
I believe the boxers who are representing the Team Central for the coming 2016 will be spectacular. And I am, the way I'm looking at the performance and the preparation towards 2016, Team Central is prepared and they have a potential of winning more gold medals.
Boxers selected will kickstart training as soon as the central government assists.
That depends on the provincial government of Central Province. When they are ready in June, normally in June, that's where the team will be confirmed, and then the provincial government have its own programs there to conduct its training program to the rest of the codes in under Central Province.
Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we return.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby and Popondetta, few showers in Daru and Alotau, and brief showers for Kerma. In the Momase region, showers for Ley City, brief showers for Madang and Wewak, and a shower or two for Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, fine for Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, and partly cloudy in Kimbe. In the Highlands region, cloudy periods for Mount Hagen, mostly fine in Gorka, and a shower or two for Mendi, Wabag and Kundiawa. Looking at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG, Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samurai Island, waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, and waters of Finchafen through Vitiers Strait to Long Island, including CSC Islands, Dampier Strait, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, waters of Long Island to Madang, to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape, to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of New Ireland to New Britain, to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Looking at the ocean forecast for PNG areas, in the Coral Sea, seas slight with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight with northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. Seas slight with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots for the Bismarck Sea. And lastly, in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Hela Governor Agiru passes on. India's president arrives in Papua New Guinea on historical visit, and drunken brawl in Markham leads to ethnic clash. And that's how it is this Thursday, the 28th of April 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Lorraine Genia. Pleasant viewing. Good night.